Thursday, September 14th, 2012. We have a few housekeeping items that we would like to bring to your attention. This meeting is being televised on the Henry County TV Channel 14 and will be rebroadcast each Thursday at 7:30 p.m. A video of the meeting is also available on demand on the county website. If you wish to speak, you need to fill out the public hearing speaker card. We will allot 10 minutes for those in favor of a case and 10 minutes for those in opposition of a case. For example, if there are 10 people who wish to speak, they all share the 10-minute slot and so forth. Okay, now we're going to stand for the invocation with Mrs. Schmaltz.
Dear God, we come before you tonight humble, thanking you for the many blessings that you have bestowed upon us, asking that you give us, my colleagues here, the guidance, the knowledge to make the right decisions tonight for Henry County and the citizens of Henry County. Dear God, once again, we thank you for the many blessings that you have bestowed upon us. God bless all of us here tonight and the United States of America. For all of those who do believe, please say amen.
Amen. Now Mr. Butcher will say the pledge.
I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. May be seated. This meeting is now called to order. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Okay. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes?
Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes as presented to us tonight.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Okay. All those in favor? None opposed. Okay. Do we have any staff comments for this evening? I can't hear you.
No comments from staff.
Okay, we're now going to move on to the agenda items.
The first item is Comprehensive Plan Amendment, COMP AM 1203. James H. Nutt of Marietta, Georgia, requests an amendment to the comprehensive plan for property located on the north side of Hampton Locust Grove Road and west of Highway 155 South within the Luella Elementary, Middle, and High School Activity Center in Land Lot 210 of the 2nd District. The request is to amend the future land use designation from low-density residential to industrial. The property is located in District 2, and Jeremy Gilbert is representing planning staff.
Good evening, Chairman and board members. The request that is before you tonight is a comprehensive plan amendment for property that's located on Hampton Locust Grove Road. The property is approximately 41.8 plus or minus acres and is located on the north side of Hampton Locust Grove Road west of Highway 155. Property is located in the Luella Elementary, Middle, and High School Activity Center. In evaluating the applicant's request, staff determined instead of just reviewing their 41 acres, that staff would review the entire activity center because we felt it warranted evaluation. In reviewing the current activity center topology for the current development trends, staff is of the opinion that this activity center should be removed in its entirety. The reasoning behind removing the activity center is based on the initial review of the comprehensive plan. The consultant didn't look at what was zoned. They only looked at what was currently developed. And at that time, there was hardly any commercial or non-residential uses developed in this activity center. Since that time, there has been a number of developments that have began construction or have completed construction. And in doing so, it has made the numbers for what the proposed typology for this activity center to be upside down. An example is currently there's 421 plus or minus acres of this 1,344 acre activity center that is zoned non-residential. The proposed typology for the school node says there should only be 202 plus or minus acres. Therefore, we would have to reduce that by over half. Based on the zoning designations of the non-residentially zoned properties within this activity center, we'd be reducing that by 201 acres. The applicant's request, they were requesting to amend the future land use map for their portion, the 41.8 acres, to industrial. In looking at that, talking with our Department of Transportation, according to DOT, the paving rating for Hampton Locust Grove Road is only 20 feet wide, and it scores a 67 out of 100. Hampton Locust Grove Road is also not classified as a truck route and would need significant improvements to be classified as a truck route in the future. Henry County DOT recommends that if this property were to be developed in the future as industrial, that the site would need to gain access from Highway 155. With all of those concerns and through the policies that are in the comprehensive plan, staff felt like this property would be more suited to be a commercial designation, and therefore staff is recommending denial of the applicant's request to amend the future land use map from residential to industrial, but recommends the following: removing the Luella Elementary, Middle, and High School node activity center designation from the future land use map, deleting all references within the Henry County City's Joint Comprehensive Plans Community Agenda that is regarding the Luella Middle, High School, and node activity center, and amend the future land use designation for the subject property to commercial. And I'll answer any questions that the board may have.
Okay, does the board have any questions for the staff at this time? All right, hearing none, I would like to ask the applicant to come forward and please state your name and address for the record.
Thank you. I'm Jim Nutt from Marietta, Georgia, and I represent my brother who's here and my sister who's in North Carolina. The three of us own the property, 1/3 undivided interest.
Okay, do you have anything that you would like to add to the staff comments?
Not particularly. I think we understand the concern of the DOT. If the road needs improving anyway, but we understand the rationale. And we have no immediate plans, or we're not developers, but property's been in an estate for a number of years, and we just moved it out of the estate, and we think it's, we'd like to market the property, but we don't have any immediate use for it.
Okay, does any of the board members have any questions for the applicant?
Yes, I do. Do you have any development plans or developers in mind of presenting this to that may possibly have an interest in it industrially?
I wish we did, Mr. Butcher. If you've got somebody, let me know.
I'm afraid not.
We've had some very general conversations. We've got a for sale by owner sign on the property. Been there for quite a while. I think I've had 3 phone calls, and one of those was the surveyor for the engineering firm that's doing the work for the Prologis tract. So not a lot of activity there right now.
Thank you.
Does anyone else have any questions for the applicant? Okay, you may be seated.
Thank you.
Okay, this time we're allowing 10 minutes for those who want to speak in favor of this case. So if you want to speak in favor of this case, if you'll please come to the front. In favor of the case? I don't see anyone coming up front. Okay. At this time, we're allowing 10 minutes for those who want to speak in opposition to this case. Does anybody want to speak in opposition to this case? Okay, I don't see anybody, so I'm going to ask the applicant to please come back up.
And as the applicant's making their way back up, Chairman, I wanted to just make the statement that for the viewing audience and for the audience that's here tonight, that this is just a comprehensive plan amendment. It would not be changing the zoning on the property, just the designation for future development on the future land use map. I just wanted to make that statement.
Okay. Does any of the board members have any further questions for the applicant? Okay, we're going to ask you to be seated since no one has anything else. You got your exercise tonight, though, didn't you? Okay, we're going to call the case. Somebody need to call that again.
Plan Amendment 1203. James H. Nutt of Marietta, Georgia, requests an amendment to the comprehensive plan for property located on the north side of Hampton Locust Grove Road and west of Highway 155 South within the Luella Elementary, Middle, and High School Activity Center in Land Lot 210 of the 2nd District. The request is to amend the future land use designation from low-density residential to industrial. Again, the property is located in District 2.
Madam Chairman, I'd like to make a motion.
You want to state that motion?
Duke? I would like to make a motion to deny the amendment of the flume designation. Would also like to, well, I have to make a separate motion for that. Go ahead.
No, it could be in one.
And for approval of the comprehensive plan amendment as the staff has recommended.
Do I hear a second to that motion?
With the 3 amendments.
Okay. Do I have a second for that motion? Okay, Mr. Donnelly. Okay, we're going to call the vote. Any discussion? Okay, all those in favor? That's unanimous. None opposed. All right, next case.
The next case is Unified Land Development Code Amendment 1209, an ordinance by Henry County, Georgia, to amend Chapter 4, Site Design Standards for Base Zoning Districts, Section 4.01.02, Dimensional Standards for Building Height and Location Setbacks, in accordance with Sections 1202.11 and 1203.00 of the Henry County Unified Land Development Code. This amendment will be a countywide amendment and will be presented by Wanda Moore.
Good evening, Board. Currently, the Unified Land Development Code regulates dimensional standards for building height and location. Section 4.01.02, Dimensional Standards for Building Height and Location. Section 4.01.02E of the ULDC states the following. Property with a side lot line adjacent to a railroad right-of-way shall not be required to provide a side yard setback. Upon review of the specific criteria for that, staff evaluated the Department of Community Affairs ordinance regarding zero lot lines as well as Coweta County, and recommends amending the provision to provide accessibility area around all sides of built structures in order to eliminate possible trespass on railroad right-of-way. Staff recommends that Section 4.01.02E be amended to read as follows. Property with a side lot line adjacent to a railroad right-of-way shall provide a 10-foot side yard setback. And I'll answer any questions you may have.
Are there any comments from the board for the staff? Okay, do I have any comments from the public in favor of the text amendment? Anybody want to step up in favor of the text amendment? Okay, do I have anyone who would like to comment from the public in opposition of the text amendment? I saw someone moving around, but I don't think they're coming up to testify. Okay, we're going to call the case. What application has to
An ordinance by Henry County, Georgia to amend Chapter 4 Site Design Standards for Base Zoning Districts, Section 4.01.02 Dimensional Standards for Building Heights and Locations Setbacks, in accordance with Section 12.02.11 and 12.03.00 of the Henry County Unified Land Development Code.
Okay.
Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion, recommend that staff, a motion for approval for Section 4.0102E be amended to read as follows. Property with a side lot line adjacent to a railroad right-of-way shall provide a 10-foot side yard setback.
We'll have a second.
I'll second that.
Mr. Butcher. Any discussion? All those in favor? None opposed. It's unanimous. Okay, we'll go to the next case.
CU 12-10, Carpenter House Ministries Incorporated of Mcdonough, Georgia, request a conditional use for property located at 395 through 397 Mcdonald Parkway in land lot 157 of the 7th District. The request is for a church/religious facility. Request is in District 1 and is presented by Sherry Hobson Matthews.
Good evening, Madam Chair and board members. As Jeremy has indicated, we have a request this evening for a conditional use for a religious facility. The property, again, is located on Mcdonald Parkway, which is designated as a major arterial roadway consisting of 1.0 plus or minus acres. The applicants are seeking to utilize an existing industrial building for religious purposes and religious activities. Staff did do an analysis of the property and has confirmed that the existing building consists of about 6,000 square feet. There are 42 existing parking spaces on the property with 2 designated handicap parking spaces. In the staff report, I did comment that at this time we could not determine the parking until the actual development plans had been submitted so that we can determine if there will be fixed seats within the religious facility or bench seating or non-fixed seats. So that is something that will be determined at the development stage. Planning staff has reviewed the request and has recommended approval with 3 conditions.
All right, are there any questions from the board members for the staff? Okay, hearing none, would like to ask the applicant to come forward, please. State your name and address for the record.
Good evening. My name is Deidre K. Suggs. Address is P.O. Box 3208, McDonough, Georgia, 30253.
Do you have anything you would like to add to the staff comments?
Just that we are excited about getting into our church facility.
Okay. Does the board have any questions for the applicant? Okay. Okay, you may be seated.
Okay, thank you.
At this time, we're allowing 10 minutes for those who want to speak in favor of this case. We're allowing 10 minutes for those who want to speak in favor.
Hello.
Can you state your name and address?
I'm Ashley Suggs in Mcdonald, Georgia. It's 1165 Folkestone Drive. I just want to say that this building would be a great part to our family because both my parents are there. They've been in ministry for all my life. I'm 21, so all my life. That's all we know, and it would be just a great pleasure to have our own spot to praise the Lord with, with freedom. So that's all I have to say.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else like to come up? Okay. All righty. Okay, so at this time, we're going to allow 10 minutes for those who want to speak in opposition to this case. Anyone want to speak in opposition? Okay, I would like the applicant to please come back up. You are also going to get your exercise tonight. Does the board have any further questions for the applicant?
I do, Mr. Chair. Where are you currently?
We have been currently holding service in the New Covenant Church since our launch on 2009 October. And so we have our services on Sunday from 1 to, 1:30, for the past 3 years.
And a congregation of what size?
Our congregation is a growing congregation. We started with basically about 10 adults, 5 families, and we have grown to about 21 family units. So we're growing, and we've been in ministry since 1996 as an outreach, but we are launched as a church since 2009.
And so outside of your Sunday activities, what other times of the week are you planning to use the facility? Or
Well, for the since 2003, we partnered with a lot of, with the schools and education, so we do a lot of after-school events with the schools. We do the career days and things of that nature. This facility would give us the ability to host those things in our own facility. We partnered with the Atlanta Bible College just a few months ago for 12 weeks to do a nurturing family nurturing program that hosted about 16 adults and their children, and those kind of activities are what we're doing. This region has not had a nurturing program. Those kind of things are what we're going to be doing during the week. We will have scheduled activities. So.
Okay, thank you. I have no more questions.
Okay, does anyone else have any questions for the applicant? Okay, you may be seated.
Okay, thank you.
All right, this one can call the case.
CU 12-10, Carpenter House Ministries Incorporated of Mcdonough, Georgia, requests a conditional use for property located at 395 through 397 Mcdonald Parkway in land lot 157 of the 7th District. The request is for a church/religious facility in District 1.
I need to get a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve as planning has recommendations.
Okay.
Second that.
Okay. Any discussion? All those in favor? Oh, okay, let's see here.
Sorry about that, I've gone to sleep.
Trying to keep you awake. It's all unanimous and none denied. Okay.
Thank you.
RZ 12.
Oh, just a second, please. I'm sorry. At this time, I'm turning this portion over to our Vice Chair, Ms. Brown, who will be handling the next 3 cases.
RZ 1205, Donna Bryson of Lilburn, Georgia, requests a rezoning from RMH, mobile home or manufactured home development, to C3, highway commercial, for property located at the southwest corner of Boulevard Drive and Wilson Road, Tract 2, Lot 3 of Pine Valley Estates subdivision in land lot 33 of the 12th District. The property consists of 1.062 plus or minus acres, and the request is for the outside storage of trucks, trailers, and equipment. The request is in District 4 and is presented by Wanda Moore.
Good evening, Board. As Jeremy stated, the request is located, the property is located, on the southwest corner of Boulevard Drive and Wilson Road. The site is currently vacant. It's undeveloped. It's relatively flat with a sparse vegetation. There are existing stand of trees along the southern property line here. There's a 30-foot access easement also along that property line. I have a quick. It's located along the southern property line. There's a specimen tree, as defined by Henry County, is 8-inch diameter at breast height. The land use is currently designated for mobile homes, and the flume designates the area for commercial use. I apologize, let me get it. It's the future land use map designation for commercial. The proposal came in to us for a desire to have outdoor storage, which is under our ordinance of the ULDC would be required for C3 designation for outdoor storage in a commercial. The site plan provided by Terry Boomer indicates that access into the property itself would be from Boulevard Drive. There would be perimeter fencing that would be a requirement from Henry County for outdoor storage around the property. The access easement has remained. It's a 30-foot easement, again, that's along the southern property. Staff recommends approval of C3 commercial with 7 recommendations.
Thank you. Is there any questions from the board for staff?
Yes. Could you please read the 7 recommendations?
Will I please read them? Absolutely. Item 1, staff recommends approval with the following 7 conditions. 1, a 10-foot landscape area shall be located along the east property boundary adjacent Wilson Road right-of-way in front of the proposed fencing pursuant to Chapter 5.01.01C. The 10-foot landscape area can be included as part of the 12% landscape requirement. The 10-foot landscape area shall have 1 canopy tree per 25 linear feet of frontage along Wilson Road with grass or ground cover. Item 2, development shall preserve the existing specimen oak located approximately midpoint alongside the west property boundary. Barrier fencing shall be placed at the drip line of the canopy to protect the root zone, ULDC Chapter 5.03.05F and 5.03.06. Item number 3, an evergreen buffer shall be planted the entire length of along the north edge of the existing 30-foot drive easement, extending into the site to create a 20-foot wide buffer. Item number 4, the fence that is required to enclose outdoor storage shall not be located within the existing 30-foot drive easement. Any landscape or buffer area. The owner shall submit drawings and or pictures, material sample, and color swatch of proposed fence type to Henry County Architectural Review Committee for approval, ULDC Chapter 10.03.00. Sidewalks, item number 5. Sidewalks along Wilson Road and Boulevard Drive shall be required, consistent with ULDC Section 8.01.09 requirements for new commercial development. Item number 6, site drive access shall be located exclusively from Boulevard Drive as indicated on the rezoning plan dated June 26, 2012, submitted by Civil Consulting Engineering, Inc., Terry S. Boomer, P.E. And item number 7, notwithstanding anything to the contrary herein, no zoning condition imposed herein shall be interpreted or applied in such a manner so as to require any violation of any existing building, development, stormwater, and or other applicable codes.
Okay, and we're requesting a C3 because this is a storage facility.
Outdoors. That's right.
So there will be no building that will be permitted to be built there at any time or in the future, or?
The applicant site plan shows storage only. As C3 designation, anything that's permissible in C3 would be allowed to be constructed on a C3 zoned property, unless it's otherwise stated as far as the recommendation goes.
Okay.
She must state what C3.
Yeah, right. What, can you give me some examples of what could go in a C3?
As a prior application was presented, a heavy automobile service facility where you have mechanics and outdoor storage of cars and equipment and such that they would be working on. C3, I don't have my code in front of me, excuse me.
I didn't mean to put you on the spot.
No, but
I
that's
apologize.
okay.
But we just kind of need to know what else could go there for the future.
Yes.
Obviously, if we approve this, there's, other things that could go in there.
Absolutely.
Okay, I don't have any more questions for staff. Thank you.
Anybody have any other questions? Okay, at this time, I'd like to ask the applicant to come forward, please. Please state your name and address for the record.
Chairman, Board, my name is Terry Boomer. I live at 122 Cedar Woods Trail, Canton, Georgia. I am the owner of Civil Consulting Engineers and agent for Mcdonald Bryson.
Thank you. And would you like to add anything in addition to the staff report?
I would like to clarify, when Donna looked at the properties that she was interested in purchasing in Henry County, it was conveyed to her that under RMH, if she built a structure or parked a trailer, she could also park a trailer next to the trailer and/or structure. And I want to clarify that with staff.
The ULDC code for the designation of the existing zoning permits if you have a structure that you could actually store a trailer, other type of recreational equipment that's large, but you have to enclose it in a fence. But
Trailer?
yes, it's not specific as far as the type, and it affords various interpretations.
And if I may add some clarification to that, the code allows for a recreational vehicle to be stored within the RMH, but if it's a commercial vehicle, that would only be allowable within the RA zoning district, and that can be inside of a subdivision or outside of a subdivision.
Could there be storage, if there was a building storage?
The applicant could have an accessory structure, which could be like a storage building from Lowe's or Home Depot, but not the type of outdoor storage that's being proposed here tonight, not under the current RMH designation.
Thank you for that clarification. And the only other thing I'd like to add is I have read the staff analysis as well as the conditions, and the owner, Ms. Donna Bryson, and I are in agreement with the conditions in the staff analysis.
Thank you. Okay, does anyone from the board have questions for the applicant?
I do.
Okay.
When did she purchase this property? How long has she had it?
Roughly a year ago. I think it was late October.
And she purchased it for the storage, or that was just something?
Correct.
Okay.
With that specific intent. They own a construction business, and they don't want to, and they work on Henry County roads, and they don't want to haul their equipment back to Lilburn and Gwinnett County.
So what type of equipment will be stored there?
Trailers from a tractor trailer and/or a lowboy.
Oh, okay. But not like a backhoe or a dozer or anything like that?
There may be, but not as an operation.
Okay. Am I allowed to ask something for the staff on this? And I guess this would be like a transportation question. Would there be enough room for a radius to pull in a trailer? I guess that lot didn't seem like it was that big.
By the time you do the setbacks and the...
Yeah, what would they have to do to get a... You're talking about
Look at the
lowboys.
site, the site...
This is like it's an awful... I don't know. It's not quite-
This site plan, I believe, shows 35-foot radii, and I forget how wide the driveway is shown.
35-foot driveway.
I think he shows driveway at 30 feet. Likely he can get in and out, particularly with a 30-foot wide drive, and when he gets down to 42, they should be able to get in and out there also, I would think. I think the road is roughly 20 feet wide, so once you get straightened up, you can get by him, but it's not like driving by a smaller vehicle, that's for sure.
So it's just to park the trailers and it's not to unload equipment?
There may be some offloading of equipment, yes. I'm not going to say there's not.
And does that equipment make any noise as far as like a safety beep when it backs up and
Yes,
things like
ma'am.
that?
All equipment, heavy equipment is required by OSHA to have that.
Well, I kind of knew the answer to that. I just wanted it on record. Sorry. And for those who may not know that, I just wanted that to be known. And what would be the hours, are there any hours, restriction hours that would be placed on this C3 as far as, I know it's not in your 7, as far as like when they can unload and, any time at night, they're allowed to load and unload equipment?
The code makes no specific requirements on that. You certainly can add that as a zoning condition, and it'll be up to code enforcement to actually enforce it. But a lot of times we tread lightly on adding conditions of that nature because sometimes, depending on where the location is, for example, if you tell them that all the loading has to take place between 8 a.m. and 5 p.m., we all know Henry County traffic, so there may be a situation where at 5:05 they haven't made it to that location, and they could certainly be in violation of that condition. But you certainly can, as a board, make that as a recommendation.
But in the past, we've only done that for businesses.
We've done it for businesses.
This is not good. They're not going to have to get a business license for this.
And typically it's for deliveries and for the actual trash pickup. And I can tell you the ordinance does regulate the hours of operation for sanitation service.
Madam Co-Chair, I do have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Ballmer, good evening.
Good evening.
Do you have any idea how much equipment will be stored there?
No, I don't. The lot, as stated by the board members, is very small. We're going to have enough to get a couple tractor trailers in there, and that's going to be about the limit of that lot size. But I haven't placed any equipment on there with a template as of yet.
So tractor trailers would mean maybe like where tools and stuff are stored? Because I know sometimes a construction site, they have like tool storage in I don't know what it's called. It's an enclosed, it's not really a shed, but you know what I'm talking about. You can move it back and forth.
Right.
You think those would be on there? Yeah, tool trailer? You think
That's
that's
a
possible?
probability,
Yeah,
sure,
okay.
sure.
Since the applicant's not here, it's kind of hard for us to know what they're going to do. Okay. That's all I have. I'm sorry.
Is there any other questions from the board? No questions from the board, then I'm going to ask the applicant to be seated at this time. Thank you.
Thank you.
At this time, we will be allowing 10 minutes for those who want to speak in favor of the case. And again, the 10 minutes will be a total of 10 minutes for those speaking in favor. Those speaking in favor, if you come forward. Okay. Note that there's no one coming forward in favor of this. At this time, we will allow 10 minutes for those that are speaking in opposition of this case. Please state your name and your address for the record.
Sheila Jones, live at 65 Boulevard Drive, Stockbridge, Georgia, 2 doors up from where they want to rezone this.
Okay.
I have a petition here with signatures of neighbors opposing it. I have a couple of emails here from people that want to speak of opposing it that was not able to attend. I also have pictures I want to present to the board of all of our homes that are within like 2 doors down, 3 doors down from all this property. if y'all would like to look at them, because these are majority of homes, and these people have lived here 20 to 40-plus years. And some are retired, and the rest of us plan to retire. And we would like to retire in a nice community. I know in the past, since she has purchased this property, she has dumped asphalt on that property and has had to have it removed. The equipment is so noisy, and I just don't think the buffer that they have presented is going to preserve our subdivision for our neighborhood. Because you're talking about, it's right there, and like you said, the big trucks that all coming in, that road is not big enough for that. And the intersection getting out on 42 is dangerous enough without adding traffic to that with commercial equipment. And there's like 4 others want to speak, so I don't want to keep up the time.
Thank you.
Should I leave these here?
Yeah. The staff give them to us. Thank you.
Could y'all bring those pictures up?
Good evening. If you'll please state your name and address.
I live at 5 Collin Circle, Stockbridge, Georgia. My name is Maddie Fortune, and 30281, and I have property adjoining to this property, right up against it at 125 Wilson is my property, and the next lot over from that is mine, and I live diagonally across the street, and I've been there ever since 1984, and my big concern is the noise. We're all retired in that neighborhood and everything, and it's the noise and the pollution from the diesel. They can't load those tractors unless they crank them, and they don't go to work at 8 o'clock. Yeah, that's for sure, and this is just not what we need in our neighborhood. Anything with a C3 is too much for our community, and I appreciate I let someone else help.
Thank you.
I'm Irene Cruz, and I live at the corner of Boulevard and Wilson Road. And my husband and I built that house. I've been living in it now for 52 years. We had 2 children, and there are memories in that house. We dug our own basement, we did all of the work, and we put down a hardwood floor, which my 2 little boys really enjoyed helping their father to put that down. And in 1963, our 2 sons died, and now I have that panel floor is still in my home. It will never be removed. I have a hydrangea bush that my brother brought for us to put as a memorial to my sons that still lives in that yard. That bush is there. It has blossoms every single spring, even at that age. I have several cedar trees that my mother brought for me when they were just seedlings, and they are now quite tall. All my memories are in that house. I'd never replaced that floor that they helped to build. I see it every time, and when I'm washing the floors, I still think about it all those years later. I couldn't move these memories to another home. And after 15 years, that's the only home I know. And I put in the past 10 years over $100,000 into my home to keep it up so that I could spend the rest of my life in that house. It would be a really waste of my time, my money, and everything to have something like that brought in. It's too heavy for the pavement outside on Boulevard Drive to have that heavy equipment there. The rezoning is actually going to be very difficult for me to. I couldn't live here with that, and I can't move because my memories are all in that house. And if you all pass that rezoning thing, actually, you would be actually destroying the quality of the rest of my life. And my property would be downhill because no one would ever want to buy a house across the road from that. That noise, that everything else, and it would depreciate my home, and it would really ruin everything, and so I'm saying, please don't do this. I don't know what else to say, but that house has every memory I've got that means anything to me. And I don't know what else I can tell you.
That's great. Thank you.
Okay, we have 4 minutes and 49 seconds remaining for those in opposition. Thanks.
My name's Clarence Fulcher. I live at 15 Highland Circle, which is almost diagonally across. I throw a rock to it.
Can you stop just a second, please? Staff, can you please put up the yes, so we can see where the homeowners live in relation to this property?
I live right here.
Well, she's got another. Thank you.
Okay. This is mine right here with the pool.
Okay.
I built a 2,700 square foot house. I built it myself, and I've got everything I want, out garage and everything. We've seen them bring in the equipment. They have to park on the road to unload. We've got all the dust, and when they brought the asphalt in, unloading it and everything. And, you know, I don't want to have to, I want to retire as soon as I do. I don't want to have to put up with that. You know, the noise, like I say, they'd be there at 7 o'clock in the morning sometimes unloading equipment. But, like I say, I want to retire there. So.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Anyone else wishing to speak in opposition? We still have 3 minutes and 53 seconds.
My name is Neil Sani. I live at 85 Wilson Road. I don't believe that I would be as heavily impacted by this as the people who have already spoken in opposition. Of course, you know, the main concerns for me, obviously, is would it lower my quality of life and would it lower my property value? I think that everyone that has spoken so far has made some excellent points. I also think that should something like this pass, Ms. Moore has obviously done a lot of research and her recommendations are good. I think that they all need to be made mandates for something like this. I don't know, maybe recommendation becomes a mandate when it passes. Also, a lot of people expressed concern about the road there. The road is dilapidated right there where 42. There's not even a road sign. I didn't even know what the road was called until today, and I've lived there for 6 years. But being a resident on Wilson Road, if something like this were to happen, my biggest concern would be trucks driving up and down the road. That road is quiet. I mean, a car passes maybe once every 1 or 2 or 3 hours. So should something, I'm against it, but should something like this pass, another item I would like to add to her list of recommendations and make a mandate is that there should be highly visible no-through truck signs on Wilson Road, and speed bumps should be implemented to enforce that trucks cannot pass through there. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Greg Holder. I live at 70 Highland Circle. Y'all talking about how much room is up on that road. If you look right there on the end right there, that road ain't been paved in probably 20, 30 years. It's so rough. There's not really a whole lot of room for anybody to get in and get out of there to start with. It's just, you know, then you got the other trash that's across the street up there. And I can understand the neighbors, what they're looking at every day when they pull in this neighborhood and they see stuff like that. I just got the house there and the house here and the house across the street, and you want to zone that commercial. Just like if I come in your neighborhood and took a house and mowed it down and put C3 on it. I just don't believe that's the right decision to make on that. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Okay, we have 1 minute and 35 seconds. We still have time for if anybody else wants to speak.
Could I say one more thing?
Yes, ma'am.
I didn't hear a buffer being added to this on the south side of that lot, which is where my house is at, is on the south side of that lot.
Staff, can you put the picture back up? Yep. Site plan. So what is your property address again?
125 Wilson Road.
She's right next to the...
So she's... 125. Yeah.
That existing, let me-
We use this house as a rental property to supplement our income, and it would be a great inconvenience if I couldn't rent it.
I apologize, I'm trying to find my site photos. There you go. This right
Okay.
here is the,
That's the house.
her house. And there's an existing stand of trees, they're mostly evergreen. From here to out 30 feet, there's the access easement that you can't plant anything in. So this would remain undisturbed out 30 feet, and then from 30 feet here, additional 20 feet would be another planted buffer of evergreen material to screen her house. So, and then the fence would be on that other side. So between her property line and the fence, there would be 50 feet.
Thank you.
But there would be a fence. There would be a fence.
Yes, ma'am.
I didn't hear that part.
And the photo doesn't show as well, the applicant, or not applicant, but the homeowner has a chain link fence existing between her property and that property.
Thank you. Okay, we still have a little bit of time. Anybody else wants to come up in opposition? Okay, for the record, it doesn't look like we have anyone else in opposition of this case. At this time, I would like to ask the applicant to come forward, please.
While the applicant is coming forward, can we get staff to show us the emails and also the petition that they received?
And I would like to ask DOT about the road condition. I know that when you're hauling equipment, you have to have permits because of bridges and different roads that you can have equipment on. So is this an approved route for DOT, or is it because it's county that it doesn't apply?
This is it's not a truck route. Basically, the only truck routes in Henry County are the state roads. Basically, it's other than Rock Quarry and Eagles Landing, I think, and maybe Jodico. Boulevard scores as a 67 out of 100 between 42 and Wilson. And as part of the staff report, I'd mentioned if this were to pass, we need to coordinate with the applicant about some possible improvements to the road for the impending additional loads coming into the site. And I would even say, as we go forward, it may be something we want to visit on between now and the Board of Commissioners as to maybe get a better handle on that. It's hard to say without knowing exactly how many loads per day on average and that sort of thing.
So they would have no restrictions. I guess my question was, would there be a restriction to drive on Boulevard with heavy equipment? That would they need a permit or not?
I'm not aware of one, but I'm not well versed in
Okay, but the road
what routes can be used. I know the truck routes, but like I say, we can count on both hands the truck routes in Henry County. So
So you're you're saying that the road will probably need to be upgraded at some point in time?
Typically, we'd want the roads to rate at 70 or above. The roads we've been repairing or resurfacing in the last 2 and 3 years probably have been scoring in the low 50s. So we're trying to work our way up to catching up to try and get to roads that are scoring in the 60s as far as resurfacing.
Since that driveway, can you put that site plan back up, because it shows where the driveway is? I noticed the driveway is as soon as you turn onto Boulevard and you pass the gas station, the driveway is right there at the property. So the road improvement or upgrade, would it go all the way down to Wilson, or it just would be up to the driveway?
I think we'd probably take it, typically you do the applicant's frontage, so I would think Wilson.
Up to Wilson. And how about, I heard someone say something about signage for no through trucks. If they're pulling in there, I mean, I couldn't imagine, I mean, why would there be truck traffic? I guess I'm trying to think out loud.
How can you restrict that? If this is the entrance, then how can you then, beyond that point, or even throughout Wilson, and thereof, restrict trucks?
I mean, you
As
have to
no-through
do
traffic.
the no-through traffic type, no-through trucks. Basically, you want to try and limit them between their driveway and Highway 42.
Right.
Because, also in the staff report, I think we don't want to see a driveway on Wilson.
Right.
So basically the shortest route ends, come down 42, go down Boulevard to the site access.
Okay. Do you have additional questions?
Yes, this is just to the staff, if that's okay. On a C3, are they allowed to dump asphalt on that property?
Store asphalt or?
Is that considered storage then? Can it be used to put rock in? I mean, think that would be a landfill.
The question is whether or not they can store asphalt or construction materials on site.
As in concrete
As
or?
in concrete. I know there's a
You could use it as
a reference to the storage of outdoor equipment must be kept in a neat appearance, that kind of language.
No, they can't do that under C3.
And is the fence, and I apologize, I have one question. The fence, is it where, the type of fence, is it where the folks can't see what's parked there? Is it chain link, or is it
It's a solid, it would be a solid fence, and opaque, not to
Okay,
you.
so you couldn't see what was in there?
That's correct.
Okay. I have no further questions.
No further questions? Does the board have any further questions for the applicant?
I apologize, Board. There was a email that we did receive from Robert and Belinda Schwartz. They are not in attendance tonight, so I submit this as a matter of record as well.
Thank you. All right, at this time, I have the applicant.
Who owns the 30-foot driveway easement there?
That's a great question. David helped me try to find a legal trail with that. I'll show you, I'll put up on the board what David talks about that.
But it's currently not being used to access a house anywhere, right?
No.
It's just there.
It appears to be just an access easement between Wilson and the parcel that contains the gas station. I mean, as far as the ownership of the property,